An official Minion update at 3:02. Nice to have you with us. Hour number 2. I wanted to update this Pistons coaching search stuff. We had a Woj bomb, a series of them. And look, we know the situation. The entire league is giving them the old side eye. Okay, everybody in the league is looking at the Pistons, and kind of just like, God Almighty, what a circus. But let's move beyond that for a minute. It seems that there is a final 3 names. Now, I don't believe this, and it may be my own fault. I don't believe for a second that the job is anyone else's other than Dwayne Casey's. I have my own reservations about Casey, both the fact he's 61 years old, and, I mean, to be quite honest, regular season success, but then, he got his pants coached off in the playoffs multiple times. So I don't believe the other 2 guys are in the mix, but I want to at least get to you guys. Now where the search is going is after they've come in and done their interviews, then they get on a plane and they go fly out to meet Tom Gores. Now, in the Woj bomb, along with the Freep report, Beeline has already met with Gores in California, may have been on Memorial Day weekend. That's done. Okay, so that's out of the way. You got, Ime Udoka, who used to play for the Raptors and the Spurs. He's interviewed for Orlando and Toronto, and now here. He will go out. I believe it is tomorrow. Dwayne Casey is today. Couple of questions, because for me, I think this has been a dog and pony show from the beginning. Does anyone really believe John Beeline is going to take this job? Or does anyone really believe the Pistons would hire him? See, it's not about Beeline's capability. That has zero to do with it. Does Beeline at 65 years old have the interest? Now, whether he reached out to the Pistons or the Pistons reached out to him is immaterial, and here's why. Because he's gone on the interviews. Because he's kept the dialogue going. Because he kept his inner circle out of it. That means there's a mutual interest there. There is. If he wasn't interested at the start, he's interested now. If he was interested at the start, he's interested now. But would he actually take the leap? Would he actually do it? And I also have a hard time believing the Pistons would do it. Now, let's move that to the side for a minute. We have heard from start to finish that the Pistons want to get a young GM. Want to get a couple of young, new-age people in the front office. That's why we've heard about Brent Barry. It's why we used to hear about Shane Battier. It's why we hear about the Alaskan assassin Trajan Langdon. That's where Udoka is interesting. 40 years old, former player, young, plays the good cop to Pop's bad cop, Spurs pedigree. Makes sense, right? You're going to hire a young GM. You're going to hire some young people. Do you hire a young coach? Now, I don't believe they will. Unless, of course, Casey gets his head straight. Because here's the thing. Dwayne Casey is owed $6.5 million next year. 6.5? Why not just go on NBA TV, make 6.5 mil, get a little side money, relax, and when the next round of job openings comes up, next year, maybe by February, take one of those jobs. Why would you come here? You're well thought of in league circles. And while, no, you probably wouldn't get the nod to be, if Steve Kerr walked away, you wouldn't get the nod to coach the Warriors. You'll get a job that's better than this. Do we all agree on that? And if you disagree, please feel free to yell at me. But in the situation where who the Pistons want, am I wrong for just thinking this is a foregone conclusion? That it's always been Dwayne Casey? That it is Dwayne Casey now? That the rest of these names are window dressing? And again, I've got the utmost respect for John Beeline. He's a beast. And I could advocate for him to get the job. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Do I think it would be a good fit for him? Do I think it would be a successful run? No, I do not. I think he's best served staying at Michigan and using this as contract leverage. He's got the Michigan machine rolling. It would come down to me if I'm making that hire, and you're telling me I got to hire one of these guys, between Dwayne Casey and Udoka. And if they're trying to go new wave and young and analytics, why the hell are you hiring a 61-year-old Dwayne Casey, who I don't care what anybody says, has limited motivation to be here? He's got 6.5 million reasons not to come here and to wait for the next round of openings. I mean, like right now, if I had to list job openings that were worse than this place, what would it be? All right, Sacramento, fine. Let's say they end up with an opening. Sacramento's a terrible place. You don't want to be there. You want to go to Atlanta? You're not excited about John Collins, Dennis Schroeder, and whoever they take in the draft? Okay, fair. Lousy basketball market? Cool. No problem. But, like, how many jobs are worse than the Pistons? The answer is not many. Now, how many job openings would be better than the Pistons? The answer is, like, all of them. I really struggle with Dwayne Casey taking the job. But if he did, it would make sense if you're the Pistons. I don't think it makes sense if you're Dwayne Casey. That's where Udoka is such an interesting name, because he is young. You get the Spurs pedigree. You would get someone who, allegedly, you're going to hire a bunch of young executives for Stefanski to tutor. But the whole process has been a bleep show. This idea that you got to come in and interview, and Jimmy Lynam is here, and then Bernie Bickerstaff, and then we're sharing opinions with Arn Tellem and Wentworth, and then you get on a plane to go see Goris like he's Willy Wonka. It's the whole thing is crazy.
The mock practices.
Yeah, the whole thing is wild. But do you believe that it's just Dwayne Casey's gig? Like, to me, if he wants it, it's his. That's how it's been since the beginning. Or am I being too presumptuous?
No, but I also believe that it's clear that these coaches don't necessarily want to have an active pursuit of the Pistons, and that's what Woj said in his piece. He said that the quote was, neither, between Beeline and Dwayne Casey, neither has fully committed himself in pursuit of the Pistons opening, meaning, hey, the Pistons are interested in these guys. They're going through the interview process, but these coaches aren't even necessarily interested in the Pistons.
But, Mike, that's my point, is if you're Dwayne Casey, you got $6.5 million to sit and do nothing and wait and arguably be the most desirable free agent on the market when the next job openings come out. I've already painted a scenario where, let's say, you got 25 job openings that are better than the Pistons. You got 3 that are worse. Like, what? He doesn't have to take this job.
No, I wouldn't take it, but I realize that some coaches always just want to coach, don't want to sit on the sidelines, whatever. I think that might be the case with him. But with Beeline, that's the one that's fascinating to me, because I really think this speaks to some displeasure that Beeline has with Michigan. I mean, he's 65 years old. He made the comment during the tournament how, he wants to, he doesn't care about titles. He just wants to help young men. He seems like he's a true college coach. So the fact that he's even at 65 entertaining the Pistons, I think this is...
Or reached out to them.
I think it's a power play by his agent, which could be smart, but I think it speaks to the fact that Beeline has wanted an extension from Ward Manuel, hasn't gotten it. He wants his assistant coaches to get paid comparable to other schools. Michigan's assistants are well underpaid compared to other Big Ten schools. So I think this could possibly be Beeline also kind of putting pressure on Ward Manuel, saying, hey, I know everything's about Harbaugh, but don't forget about me here. Don't forget about me.
And Mike, it's not possible. It is him doing all those things. The question is it him actually being willing to take this job?
I don't think so.
See, I don't think so either. Which means one guy doesn't want it, the other guy isn't going to take it either, then isn't it Udoka's job? If Dwayne Casey's got 6.5 million reasons to sit on the sidelines, and Beeline is just doing this for leverage, then the guy nobody's talking about, who would fit the profile of what they're trying to do with this front office and really shake this up, isn't that the most likely guy to say yes? I mean, the Pistons can want Casey, and I believe that's it. Like, if they get their druthers, Casey's the guy, but I don't know that Casey wants them.
Which you couldn't blame him for.
No, Mike, if I give you $6.5 million to do nothing, and I guarantee that next offseason you will get a better opportunity than this, why am I taking this opportunity? Unless he is just desperate. Like, coaching is his air. Like, he can't live without coaching for 9 months.
Unless he also feels like maybe he has something to prove because he was coach of the year, got fired, wants to get back right away. I don't know. But it's, if I were him, I would sit out.
248-539-9797. But I'd like people's opinion on it because now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. And I think it's interesting on who the Pistons want versus who wants them. 248-539-9797. We'll get more to people next.